Blabberbrains.
My take on all of this is I think we should all have personal responsibility to do the best we can to, when we're around people that we know are either elderly or have conditions, that we do the best we can to protect them, because we don't know what we're carrying around that's not affecting us that could affect them. But at the same time, do these things with care and caution, but stop living in fear. I think there's so many people that are just so deathly afraid, and we just got to be mindful and be cautious and be loving and caring towards everybody, but don't live your life in fear. This is not as deadly as they thought, but it's still bad, and people can still get it, and people can still die, and just keep that in mind. And
it just, if everybody sort of just did a little, it would mean a lot overall, and that's the problem. There's just certain situations that you get into, or some people who just, and that's their thing, and you know what? That's fine. I won't spend any time around them, just because there's other things that there's a couple other people that are more important to me at this time
right.
than now. But it's just a mess. And
I get how people think that, like, the government shouldn't be mandating things to us. I think there can be recommendations, and I understand that people think that, look, I can think for myself, I can do for myself, but the problem is that there's a lot of people that aren't believing that this thing. I don't want to say that they're not believing and it's not serious. I think that they're not taking it serious, and even though the numbers show that this not as, I want to say, deadly, it's still contagious. It's not as deadly as we thought it was. That doesn't mean that you just abandon all principles and say, screw it, I'm not even going to do anything, just to hell with everybody. We still got to be mindful. We still got to be human beings. We still got to be, protective of our elderly. We know who it affects now. We know exactly who it affects. It doesn't affect young people unless you have underlying health conditions. It affects all kinds of people with underlying health conditions, and it affects the elderly. So for God's sake, just do the right thing. Protect yourself and protect them. Put a mask on. Do something when you know you're around people like this. Or if you're out in public, you go into the store or something like that. If they're asking you to wear a mask, it's their store. They're allowed to ask you to wear a mask. And if you don't want to wear a mask, then don't go into the store. Find another store, whatever. But it's not really that difficult to put a mask on people. It's not that hard. I get it. There's a principle involved. I understand that. But, just be mindful of other people, because as much as this might not be what the media has blown it out to be, it still exists. It's still there. My daughter just had a scare, and her roommate had to go home because she got tested positive and stuff. Now, was it a false positive? I don't know, and I don't want to sit there and try to, figure that out, okay? She got tested positive. Thankfully, my daughter, who does deal with asthma, got tested negative. She did stay up at school. She actually had 2 scares. She had 2 friends that tested positive up there in Penn State, because that's right now a hotbed. I don't want to get down into the weeds of whether they're really infected or not infected. You know what? It's not a big deal to just protect yourself and try to protect other people.
A few days can make a world. Well, look what's going on at the White House now.
Right, exactly.
It's just spreading like crazy. And there could have been just a few steps that could have been taken
to prevent it, right?
To prevent a lot. I have a friend who, we do need to have him come in at some point and talk with us, who's retired from the Secret Service. He might even be watching us. I know he's on our page, right. But he told me even a while back, there were so many Secret Servicemen that had it and weren't able to do their duty, that he felt bad for them. And there was a bunch of, on quarantine, I don't know what happens if they run out of Secret Service. I don't know if they've had to call him up at some point and go in.
I'll step in. I'll step in. I'm at my age. I've only got a few years left. I'll step in, do my duty, whatever, serve my country. I didn't get to serve in the military, so.
So there's been a lot. There's been a lot of it that's not talked about either.
Right. Listen, I just want to make a plea up, because I know that there's a lot of people on both sides of this argument, and I'm trying to be a pragmatic, reasonable voice about this. I'm trying to say, I believe you. Yes, the data is showing that this is not as bad as it was, but it's still there and it still exists and it's still a problem, people. Don't just dismiss it and don't just say, the heck with it. Yes, governors have overstepped their boundaries, including Wolf, including Cuomo, including a lot of other governors have overstepped their constitutional boundaries in telling us what we can and can't do. That doesn't mean that we can't be responsible human beings and still do the right thing. You can't counteract their ignorance and their tyranny with total disregard for other people's health and well-being. Be a responsible human being. Social distance. Mask up when you need to mask up, and just be responsible. That's all we're asking. I mean, it's not a hard thing to do. It's really not an inconvenience to your life to do that. So that's just a plea to everybody out there to, like I said, who are on both sides of the aisle, to stop being overbearing. Here's the other thing. Stop shaming people for not wearing masks. I saw the one clip the other day of a lady walking in the park in California, threw a cup of hot coffee in someone's face because they were walking outside and weren't wearing a mask. That's extreme, people, okay? Don't take it to that extreme. You people way over there on the left who are like, are scared to death of this stuff and want to be a Karen to everybody who's not wearing a mask, knock it off, okay? Do your part. Let other people do their part. And I'm pleading to the people who are on I just want to abandon this all because I can't stand the government telling me what to do and I want my freedom and yada, yada, yada. It's not a super inconvenience to put a mask on when you need to put a mask on and social distance and just be mindful of things. That's all I'm asking you to do. And I don't think that's a tough thing to do. The president might not say it. Your governor might not say it. The social media might not say it. But I just said it. So you heard it first here on the Blabber Brain Show, and I think that's something that the Big M and I can both agree on.
Yep.
Just be a human being, for crying out loud.